My name is Jack, and I used to spend 14 hours a day on my phone. That is not an exaggeration. 14 hours. 7 of those were probably work, but the rest was me just scrolling. No aim, no plan. Tapping through apps like muscle memory. Some mornings I'd check emails before I even got out of bed. Most nights I'd fall asleep holding the damn thing. I lived alone in a condo that I paid way too much for. I had blackout curtains, noise-canceling headphones, a fridge full of meal preps I never ate, and a standing desk that made my back worse. I bought things I didn't need. I ordered dinner in more times than I can count. There were weeks I didn't talk to another person unless I had to. And even then, it was usually through Slack or email or a headset. I worked for one of those tech companies that you read about in articles. The kind with beanbags in the lobby and cereal bars in the kitchen. My job had a title so vague you couldn't tell if it meant anything. Product Innovation Lead. I wore tailored suits. I went to meetings where we said words like synergy and vertical integration without laughing. I got promoted for answering emails fast. I was good at it. I was really good at it. And it made me feel like nothing. After a while, I stopped pretending it was fine. There wasn't a big breakdown or anything like that. No shouting match, no dramatic crash. Just a slow, heavy kind of knowing that this couldn't be it. One day I caught my reflection in the dark window of the office. I didn't look like someone. I looked like a ghost in a nice outfit. That night I checked my screen time. 14 hours. And the next morning I gave my notice. I sold the suits, the condo, the furniture, hell, even the desk. I cut the cord clean. My parents were confused. My coworkers said I was taking time to realign like it was a sabbatical. I didn't correct them. I just left. I didn't owe anyone a speech. I applied for fire lookout training through a national forestry program. They took me in, probably because I was one of the few people willing to go off-grid for long stretches without complaining. The first few weeks, they were rough. I had blisters from the boots. I had no clue how to read a topographic map. I was scared of wild animals, terrified of making the wrong call on smoke reports, and completely overwhelmed by the silence. But something about it felt honest. The job wasn't complicated. You watched for fire. You wrote what you saw. You logged everything, even if nothing happened. You hiked. You cleaned. You kept watch. You learned to live with solitude instead of just tolerating it. Over time, the noise inside me got quieter. I didn't miss the city. I didn't miss the glass offices or the glowing monitors. I didn't miss the bars, the people pretending to like each other, or the monthly goal trackers that reset every 30 days like a bad joke. After 2 years, I asked for the most remote outpost they had, one that nobody else wanted, one where I wouldn't see anyone for miles. A place so far off the map, they only checked it by radio. I wanted that. I wanted forgotten. I wanted stillness without a name. And they gave it to me. I packed a single duffel. No phone, no computer, just a weather radio, a map, a notebook, and some books with cracked spines. The ranger I spoke to over the phone said the tower hadn't been used regularly in years, that it sat on a ridge deep in the timberline, past even the service roads. I'd have to hike in. No electricity except for the panels. Water from the rain barrel. Supplies once a month if the trail was clear. And I said that was perfect. Most people don't really know what a fire lookout does. The job's simple. You live alone in a tower in the middle of a forest and watch for wildfires. You scan the horizon for smoke, log what you see, and report anything that looks off. That's it. No crowds, no traffic, just you, a map, a radio, and a lot of trees. The tower's got windows on every side. There's an old round device in the middle called an Osborne Fire Finder. It's like a table with a map on it, and you use a sighting tool to figure out where a column of smoke is coming from. Once you have the bearing, you radio it in. The ranger station compares it to readings from other towers, then sends out ground crews if it's real. You also check weather gear, track wind direction, and write everything down. Even when nothing's happening, you're logging it. If you hear thunder, you write the time. If it rains, you record the amount. You hike the trails nearby, you clear brush, you keep the place in shape. You make your own meals, you read or think or sit. Most towers are alone, but not this one. Not entirely. About 3 miles north is another tower, older, with a better view of the northern ridge. That's where Henry is. Henry trained me during my first season 2 years ago. Back then I was still learning how to lace my boots properly. He showed me how to tell the difference between controlled burns and trouble. He showed me how to fix a leaky rain barrel and how to hike without scaring every animal in a 5-mile radius. He's been doing this for decades. Grew up in Wyoming. His family were all park rangers, but he chose the lookout life instead. Says he likes being able to see things coming. Doesn't trust the ground crews to do it right. Henry's the kind of guy who knows when a storm's coming just by the way the birds act. He still wears the same patched-up jacket I remember from before. Still eats canned soup straight out of the can. Still has a cat named Lilac who vanishes for days, then reappears like she never left. We talk every morning on the radio, mostly about weather and trail updates, nothing fancy. Sometimes I hike over with extra supplies, or he comes down and meets me at the creek if the weather's decent. Last week, on my second full day in the tower, he came over much earlier than usual. His face was calm, but I could tell something was off. He asked if I'd noticed anything strange. I said no, just deer, birds, one coyote far off. Then he said, "Sit down for a minute." I sat on the stool by the logbook and waited. He didn't speak for a bit. I watched him eat that same Campbell's soup I'd seen him eat 1,000 times. Chicken noodle. Then he said, "I think there's a Wendigo nest nearby." I looked at him like he'd grown 2 heads, but he held up his hand to interrupt me. "I'm not sure yet, but I've been keeping track, and I think we need to go over some new rules," Henry said. I didn't know what to say. I'd heard the legend before, campfire stories mostly. Nothing serious, but the look on my mentor's face made me pause. Since then, I've been watching the tree line more closely, listening harder at night, writing things down that wouldn't have bothered me before. Henry does not spook easily. If he says something's out there, I believe him. Maybe it's not what he thinks. Maybe it's just something weird but explainable. But I know him well enough to take it seriously. This place is different from my last tower. The forest is thicker. The trails are half overgrown. Some of the old signs have fallen down. Doesn't feel managed. It feels like no one's been watching it for years. It's not that far from town, if you go by map. But out here, with no roads and no signals, it might as well be a different world. And now Henry says there are rules I haven't been told yet. We didn't talk more that day. After Henry said what he said, he finished his soup, tossed the can in his pack, and said he'd radio me tomorrow. Then he started back toward the trail like it was nothing. I watched him disappear into the trees that night, my mind running with questions. The next morning, true to his word, Henry radioed at 7 a.m. sharp, Standard check-in. Weather clear, wind light, no fires. He sounded normal, like yesterday's conversation hadn't even happened. I played along, but I kept waiting for him to bring it up again. He didn't. Not until I hiked over later that afternoon with a busted propane hose I wanted help patching. We sat on the deck of his tower. The sun was low behind the ridgeline. The forest below us looked like a green sea, rippling without wind. It was quiet except for a few birds and the distant creak of the trees settling. Henry held the hose in one hand and motioned for me to sit. I owe you the rest of that talk about the rules, he said, as I poured the both of us new cups of coffee. That's 3. The first 2 you already know, but we're going over them anyway. Here, they matter more. He held up a finger. Rule 1, lights out after 12. That one made sense. Most towers had some version of it. I already followed it out of habit. Lights attract wildlife. They also make it harder for us to do our jobs, he began. Can't see fire if your eyes are blown out by lantern glow. This tower's not on the grid. You've got solar panels and a backup generator. Keep the battery for what matters. Easy enough, I replied. He held up another finger. Rule 2. Supply drops are every Sunday, usually morning. You'll hear the ranger playing around 9. Won't land. They'll do a low pass and drop a crate by the south trailhead. You hike down and pick it up. Takes about 30 minutes each way, Henry said. Got it, I replied. Well, you'll get new perishables, dry goods, water, sometimes extras. They usually throw in a few luxuries if you're on good terms with the dispatch team. He continued. Like bacon? I asked with a smile, knowing the old man was obsessed with the stuff. Perks of the job, right? Henry cracked a small smile. Yeah, bacon. Orange juice sometimes. More if you're lucky. I told them you were coming. You'll probably get a little better treatment than I do. I appreciate that. And I'll share the bacon, I said. You better. He looked out over the railing for a long time. The trees stretched in every direction. The sun had dropped behind the ridge. The sky turned pale blue with streaks of orange. Then he held up a third finger. Rule 3. Never wear red. I blinked. What? He looked at me. No red clothes. No red backpacks. No red hats. Nothing. That's weird, I said. It's a posted rule. It's on the signs near the trailheads. It's in the orientation materials, though they keep it vague. You're supposed to tell any hikers or campers to remove anything red. If they won't, well, you escort them back to the park boundary, he explained. I waited for him to crack a smile. He didn't. You're serious? I asked. Dead serious. But why red? He looked back out at the trees before answering. To prevent it from seeing them. That sentence sat in the air for a while, even as it made no sense to me. I waited for more, but that was all he gave. So, what is it, exactly? I asked. He shook his head. I don't know yet. I leaned forward. You think it's the thing you mentioned? The Wendigo? He didn't answer right away. I think it's something like that. Or something worse. Doesn't matter what I call it. Doesn't change what it does. And what does it do? I asked. If you see it, you're already too close, he said. You've seen it? He looked at me. His face didn't change. I have seen things that made me follow the rule. And that's all you need to know right now. I didn't push back. Not yet. There'd be time for more questions later, once I got my thoughts together. He stood up and grabbed a sealed bag from inside his tower. It was filled with random clothes, mostly jackets and shirts, in dull greens, browns, and grays. If you brought anything red, put it in here. Keep it in the tower. Locked, he said. I took the bag from him. He sat back down, took a sip from his thermos, and looked at me again. You think it's excessive, don't you? A little, I began. But you don't seem like the kind of guy who invents rules for fun, I admitted. I'm not, he replied. We sat there for a while, not talking. The forest below us darkened slowly. No lights came on in his tower. He didn't even light a lantern. When I got back to mine, I dug through my pack. I didn't think I had anything red, but I checked anyway. One bandana, deep red. I tied it around my food crate the day I left, as a reminder to grab it first. I folded it up, put it in a sealed bag, and stuffed it under my bunk. And then I turned off the lights. After that talk about the rules, I started seeing red everywhere. Not a lot of it, just in memory. Hiking gear catalogs, campground photos, that old bandana I'd kept without thinking. I remembered people wearing red vests or windbreakers or baseball caps in the city. Bright, flashy stuff, hard to miss. That was the whole point. Hunters needed to tell people from animals. Hikers needed to be found if they got lost. The next time I hiked over to Henry's, I brought the patched propane hose back, fixed thanks to him, and a bag of jerky and dried fruit the supply drop had included that morning. He let me up the ladder without a word and motioned for me to follow him inside. He didn't sit. He went straight to the far wall of his cabin and flipped around the small blackboard mounted there. I'd seen him use it before to track wind shifts and precipitation. On the back side was a cork board I hadn't noticed before. It was covered with missing persons flyers. Printed papers, handwritten notes, ranger field reports, newspaper clippings. At least 20, maybe more. They were all different ages. Men, women, even a few kids. Some were local, some out of state. A few were hikers, a couple were campers. One had been part of a hunting trip. The photos were faded, but one detail was consistent in almost every case. They were all wearing red. Red hats, red coats, red gloves. One boy had on a red backpack shaped like a cartoon character. Another flyer mentioned a woman last seen in a bright red rain shell. Even in the black and white ones, Henry had circled the word red in pen. These go back about 5 years, he said. I took a step closer, reading the names and dates. Why haven't I heard about this? Well, you wouldn't, he began.
It's not in the big papers. County keeps it quiet. No panic. No tourist scared off. No questions from people higher up the food chain. I turned toward him. But they know? The other rangers? They know enough, he began. Every ranger station out here has been told to enforce the color rule. Quietly. Not as law. More like strong advice.
And what about us? I asked.
We're on our own. They don't check the towers. They don't come out this far. We do what we think is right, he said.
I stared at the corkboard a little longer. I didn't know what to say. Henry walked to the supply shelf, reached under it, and pulled out a leather-bound notebook. It was thick and worn. He opened it on the small dining table between us and started flipping through the pages. Each one was filled with sketches, notes, and taped-in photographs. He turned the book toward me.
This is what I've been working on.
I looked at the open page. There was a hand-drawn sketch of something tall, taller than a man, but thin. Its arms hung low, almost down to its knees. The legs were long and straight, but uneven, like one hip was higher than the other. It had no ears, just big round eyes and a wide mouth that curved slightly at the corners. The sketch had no color, just pencil lines.
What is it? I asked. I don't know. Saw it 4 months ago. About a mile past the quarry trail, he said.
You saw it?
He nodded. Didn't get close. I was hiking the East Ridge Trail, checking the wind damage after that storm in June. I got this feeling, like the woods had gone still. I looked down toward the quarry from the ridge, and that's when I saw it. It was walking through the open clearing near the old stone piles. Long strides, arms swinging but slow, like it didn't care who saw it.
And you're sure it wasn't a person? I interrupted.
I know people, kid. This was not a person.
He flipped a few more pages. Tracks. Photos of broken tree limbs. A flattened patch of grass. More sketches.
I went back 2 days later. Found these near the path.
He pointed to a photo. It showed something like a footprint, but not a normal one. The toes were longer. There were 6 of them, spread out wide like they gripped the ground instead of stepping on it. I've seen the prints 3 times since, always in the same general area. No signs of tents, no trash, no boot prints nearby. No animals walk like this, he said. He sat back in the chair and let out a long breath. I don't know what it is, but I know what it follows. Red, I said quietly. He nodded. Every time someone goes missing, always red, always in this region. Sometimes hikers, sometimes campers, sometimes even rangers. I looked at the corkboard again. It was a mess of stories, but they all ended the same way. Why red, though? What does it mean? I asked. Henry shook his head. Oh, I've got guesses. Maybe it sees the color better.
Maybe it's drawn to it. Maybe it remembers something about it. I don't know. But I know the rule matters.
I didn't argue. Why not warn people? I asked.
We do. Signs are everywhere. Not everyone listens, kid. Some think it's a myth. Some just forget. Some want to test it. And then that happens,
Henry explained as he gestured to the corkboard. I sat down on the bench and looked out through the tower windows. The sun was starting to drop behind the hills. The green forest was turning gold at the edges.
So what do? I asked. We do our jobs. We watch, we report, and we follow the rules, he said.
He closed the field notebook and slid it back under the shelf.
I can't tell you what to believe, but I can tell you this. The forest out here isn't like the other places. It's older, wilder. This is something we have not dealt with before, Jack. Be on your toes.
I nodded.
And Jack, if you see anything strange out there, anything at all, write it down, he added.
I promised I would. A few weeks passed without incident. I got into the rhythm of the tower, logging cloud cover, checking the wind direction, listening to bird calls, tracking any shifts in the tree line. I hiked out every few days just to stretch my legs and check the southern trails. My boots were finally broken in. The silence was starting to feel less sharp. I stopped thinking about the corkboard. I stopped thinking about the field notebook. Most days, I almost believed I'd imagined it. And then came the morning I saw red through the scope. It was just after 9. The sun was high enough to make the treetops glow gold, and I was doing my routine scan of the North Trail. It was the clearest stretch of visibility I had. Rough terrain, but not blocked out by heavy brush. I liked to check it twice. And that's when I saw movement. A flash of color near a bend in the trail where the trees pulled back just a little. I adjusted the scope. The figure came into view. A man, backpack, hiking boots, moving at a steady pace, heading north, straight toward the quarry. He was wearing a red windbreaker. At first, I just thought he was lost. Nobody ever came this far out without a reason. This wasn't a casual hike. There were no marked campsites out here, no lodges, no water stations. Only people who wanted to disappear made it this far. I hit the tower's loudspeaker switch and pressed the mic.
Hey, you on the North Trail. Red jacket, hold up. You're off route.
I called out. No reaction. I tried again.
Red jacket, stop where you are. This is a restricted area. Please respond.
Still nothing. The guy didn't even turn around. He just kept walking, eyes forward, like he didn't hear me at all. I reached for the radio. Henry, you reading this? You got eyes on the North Trail? I asked. The reply came quick.
I see him,
he said. I paused. He's not responding. There was a silence on the line. Then Henry said quietly,
We're going now.
5 minutes later, we met at the bottom of the hill, packed light. Henry brought his field notebook and a first aid kit. I brought the emergency whistle and an extra flashlight. We didn't talk on the way down. We took one of the maintenance paths, Not wide, but clear enough. The trail wound through a dense stretch of pine and dipped into a small ravine before curving back up toward the north fence line. I noticed it about halfway there. No birds, no bugs, not even the soft sound of wind in the branches. Just silence. I didn't like it. Henry noticed it too. I could tell from the way his steps got slower, more deliberate. He didn't say anything. We followed the crunch of boots ahead of us. Steady, slow, moving just out of view. Eventually the trees thinned, and we spotted him, right at the edge of the clearing that led to the quarry fence. The man was standing still, just staring forward. Not at the trail, not at anything we could see. Henry raised a hand and called out, "Sir, you need to stop." No response. He tried again. "Sir, you're heading in a restricted zone. Turn around." Still nothing. The guy didn't even flinch. His hands hung at his sides. His backpack straps looked loose, like they hadn't been tightened. He wasn't even sweating. Henry walked up and reached for his shoulder. He grabbed it and turned the man around firmly, like waking someone from a deep sleep. The hiker blinked. His mouth opened slightly. He looked around like he didn't know where he was. "You okay?" Henry asked. The man nodded slowly. I thought I was heading back." "You were going the wrong way," I said. The hiker's eyes were glassy. "I don't remember turning off." "What's your name?" I asked. He said his name was Derek, and then I asked him if he was out here alone. Derek nodded again. He explained that he was on a 3-day hike and that he came in from the south trail. From what he could remember, the GPS had been pointing him in the right way. Henry glanced at me. We both knew there was no marked loop here. The quarry trail wasn't on any public map. While Henry talked him down, I stepped to the side, and something caught my eye near the edge of the clearing. Tracks. Big tracks. Not boot prints, not elk, not deer. They were wide, spaced far apart, each one sunk deep into the soil. The dirt was packed hard here, thick with rock underneath. Nothing should have left an imprint that clean. Nothing normal. I crouched, touched one with my hand. The ground felt damp, cold. I didn't know how that was possible, but it was. The temperature dropped around those prints. Henry got Derek turned around and walking with us. I stayed behind them, keeping an eye on the woods. We didn't hear anything, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching us. By the time we got back to the main trail, Derek looked better. He drank some water. His face got some color back. Henry gave him a marker and pointed him toward the boundary gate 3 miles down. "If you see a ranger station, check in and throw that jacket out," Henry said. Derek looked at his windbreaker and nodded, still confused, but smart enough to agree. We watched him until he was out of sight. Then we turned back. I didn't talk the whole hike back. I kept thinking about those prints, the cold and the dirt, the way the forest had gone silent. The look on Derek's face when Henry turned him around, like he was waking up from something. When we got back to Henry's tower, he didn't say a word. He went inside, pulled out the field notebook, and flipped it open to a page labeled Observations. He picked up a red pen and marked the date. We didn't see any more hikers in red after that, at least not for a while. But I couldn't stop thinking about the quarry. Even when the tower was quiet and the weather was calm, I'd find my eyes drifting toward the northern ridge. I kept seeing that hiker's blank face, the prints in the dirt, the way the ground had felt cold under my hand. I didn't know what the creature was, but I knew where it was coming from. The quarry. Henry didn't argue with me when I brought it up again. He didn't agree either, but he didn't say I was wrong. He did tell me not to go near it, and I agreed. Over the next 2 days, I pored over his field guide. I went through every note, every sketch, every photo he'd taped in. I kept track of the sightings, where they happened, which directions the prints were headed, how recent the reports were. They all circled the same area. The quarry wasn't just a landmark, it was the heart of it. I couldn't keep sitting in the tower pretending this was someone else's problem. We'd already saved one man, but how many others had we missed? How many more would wander too close? We weren't hunters, we weren't trained for this, but nobody else was coming. Henry tried to talk me down, said it wasn't our job, that we didn't know enough, that setting explosives was a good way to kill yourself if you didn't know what the hell you were doing. He wasn't wrong, but I was a bad listener. There was a supply shed behind the main cabin, about 50 yards from my tower. Hadn't been used much, but it still had a climate-controlled lockbox for storing volatile materials. I remember seeing it mentioned in an old inspection report. When I finally got the door open, the charges were still there, wrapped, labeled, and covered in dust. They were old, older than me, but Henry said they probably still work, and that was good enough. I set out before dawn. The air was cold, the trees were still. I took a pack with the charges, wire, and a manual detonator. No radios, no flare gun. I didn't want to risk warning whatever might be inside. The quarry path felt longer than usual. Every noise made me stop and listen. The silence didn't help. Seemed like the wind hadn't even started up. I reached the entrance just as the sun was brushing the treetops. I didn't go straight for the blast points. I needed to be sure. I stepped inside the cave. The light dropped almost immediately. I used a headlamp, keeping it low. The tunnel sloped downward just slightly, and the deeper I went, the more I noticed the smell. Old rot, earth, wet stone. And then the path opened into a larger cavern, and that's when I saw them. Bodies, dozens, strewn across the floor, limbs twisted, clothes torn. Some were bones, others were newer. Faces I recognized from the corkboard in Henry's tower. The boy with the cartoon backpack. The woman in the red rain shell. The hunter with the bright vest. All of them. And behind them, in the back of the cavern, something moved. It was hunched over, feeding. I saw the long arms, the big eyes, the way its mouth worked in slow, patient motions. It didn't make a sound. It didn't look up. It just kept eating.
After a moment, I backed out, very slowly, step by step, until I reached the tunnel again. Once I was outside, I took a long breath and got to work. The charges were heavy but manageable. I found a section of the rock face above the tunnel entrance where there were deep cracks. That'd be the weak point. If I did it right, the blast would send the top layer collapsing down, sealing the mouth completely. It took a whole hour to place the charges and run the wire, and I didn't go back in. When it was done, I walked a good way up the trail and set the detonator on the ground. I double-checked the connection. My hands were shaking, but I kept moving. And then I pressed the trigger. The explosion echoed through the whole valley. The ground shook under my boots. A thick cloud of dust shot up into the trees. Birds scattered from the ridgeline. A few seconds later, I heard rock collapsing in on itself. When the dust cleared, the quarry entrance was gone. Just a wall of stone and loose earth. And that's my story. As for Henry and I, we're still on the lookout. We don't have a big answer or a clean resolution, just a blown up quarry, a sealed off cave. We went back to work. That's how it is up here. You keep watching, you keep logging, you keep doing the job until someone tells you to stop. The radio crackles every morning. The birds come back. The bacon still shows up on Sundays. So far, nobody else has disappeared, and I pray it stays that way. Then again, out here, nothing usually means something. But that's all I've got to share for now. Maybe later I'll have more. This forest is old, too old, and I've got a feeling the quarry wasn't the only place things were hiding. If you're listening to this, maybe you're curious. Maybe you're planning a camping trip or thinking about applying for a job just like this. Maybe you're just the kind of person who likes stories about strange things in strange woods. That's fine. Just be careful out there. And whatever you do, don't wear red.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed the video. Special thank you to all my patrons. If you'd like to become a supporter on Patreon, there's a link in the description. I hope you have a great night, and thanks for watching.